the top and it has, there you go. Perfect. Welcome everyone to our EC21 cohort information session. And it's a pleasure and an honor to have everyone. And I'm sure that more people will be coming in. Before we get started, I would like to honor the traditional, ancestral, and unceded lands of the Musqueam peoples. And because I am situated in Vancouver, I'm also honoring the Tsleil-Waututh and Squamish nations. And I feel that I honor with the presence and their history and this land with incredible respect and gratitude, because I am working and living in this land. So thank you to all, and we will have a time as we come into the session and as we get to know a little bit of who's here today. Maybe you will let us know where you are as well. A little bit of a housekeeping before we proceed with the introduction. So this is a webinar and it's being recorded so that others, who come in later or have to leave earlier, or if they cannot come in today, will be able to listen to it. And we have activated the question and answer communication, which is different from the chat. So if you have any questions and answers, we really prefer that you place them there so that we can address them in a timely manner when the Q&A times come, which will be twice during this session. And also, if you have any comments amongst yourselves or that you want to bring us to our attention, yes, the chat is very, very useful. While we are presenting, using the slide show mode is a little bit harder to follow, so bear with us about this. And more important than anything, just testing that the audio is working right now and that you can hear me and our guest today that we're going to introduce right away. So just a quick pause to make sure that indeed everybody's hearing, and if there's any issues, I'm sure that Arshia Malik, who's here supporting us from Educational Technology Services, will be letting us know. So that's a little bit of an introduction for today for the wider context, but without further ado, I want to say that my name is Mari Pigini. I am the cohort advisor, and I'm also an instructor in the Masters of Early Childhood Education Diploma program. I'm a lecturer serving the program for a few years now. And with us today is the first guest that I would like to introduce, our program director, Dr. Lori Ford, Early Childhood Programs Program Director, who will greet everyone right away.
I'm going to greet everybody. Hello. Good afternoon. I know with these kinds of sessions, you guys are probably coming from all over the place. Who knows? Hopefully it's afternoon and it's not the middle of the night or wherever you're coming in from if you're looking for these sessions. But again, my name is Lori Ford. I'm the director of the Early Childhood Programs. I'm kind of new in this role. I've been associated with our programs here for a long time, but my first semester as director. So it's the first time I've been through this cycle of our first incoming group. So mostly, I just want to say we really appreciate your interest in our programs. We're very proud of our programs here at University of British Columbia. The university itself is one of the top research universities in the world. So we're part of a very large community. Our community is very committed to social justice, respect, and incorporation of indigeneity and diversity, and those types of focus into our teaching and training and preparation in our programs in early childhood education. So I would hope that should you decide to come here, that you would find that those values get reflected in the courses that we have here. And we like to think that that's something that's unique, that we particularly focus on. So anyway, my main job is just to say, I've been I've been doing talks in our departments the last week in our faculty, and my colleague Shannon, who works with the research end of our program, we've been saying it's a very exciting time to be part of the early childhood programs at UBC. We've got a number of initiatives that are starting, and one of the programs that we're very proud of are our online cohorts, in particular the MEd, and the opportunity we have to do that. And we really appreciate and respect the leadership and passion that Mari has brought to this, along with our full team. So I know that you've got a good support net. They'll talk to you about who to ask if you have questions. I know Vicki and Mari and Yvette will be part of your front line, but you can get my email from the website too, and I'm always happy to answer any questions that you might have. So thanks for taking the time to look at our program.
Thank you, Lori. That was such a kind and inviting greeting. And it is true when you say that if, someone writes to you, you will respond, and, with energy and passion for everything that you do. So thank you so much. And I would also like to introduce Vanessa Smith, who is our Early Childhood Programs Manager, and followed by Vicki Domansky, who Lori just mentioned, our Early Childhood Graduate Academic Assistant. And Esther Aquilano is coming also next, Graduate Academic Assistant, graduate student. And then a very, very important person in this cohort, and someone who said all of this to happen, was Yvette Karuba, Senior Program Assistant in our Masters of Early Childhood Education cohort. So Vanessa, would you like to say a few words of hello to the new applicants?
Thanks, Mari. Not a ton, just to say, welcome and thank you for being here. And it's exciting to think about starting a new program with a new group of students and connecting virtually during this sort of strange time. But it's nice to be able to still move people forward with their professional aspirations. So looking forward to see who applies and where things go.
Exactly. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you so much, and for all your support in getting all of this happening. Vicki Domansky is our Early Childhood Graduate Academic Assistant, and someone that you will get to know very well in your program as well. So Vicki, if you could come ahead and say hello, that would be wonderful.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm Vicki, and I'm a Senior Program Assistant, work with Yvette Karuba. I'll be your program support person once you're admitted to the program for things that are outside of your coursework. So Yvette will be your main contact for registering for courses and whatnot, but I'm the person who you'll contact if you have any issues with your program, if you need to arrange for special leaves, leave of absence. If you're looking to take some courses outside of UBC through the Western Dean's Agreement, I would process that paperwork. And once you're completed the program, I'll also do your paperwork to complete your program and get you through the graduation process. So I monitor the main ECE mailbox, which is eced.educ.ubc.ca. So if you ever have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me there. I've just put the email address in the chat box. Great.
That is fantastic, Vicki. Thank you so much. And the most exciting part of all is when the program is completed and graduation happens. So this is the best part of all the communications, but you are there really for every other part of the way if other things happen as well. So thank you. I don't know if Esther is here already, because again, with my slide mode, I cannot see. Esther, if you're there.
She's here.
Hello, Esther.
Hello.
Welcome. Esther Arquilano is our graduate academic assistant student, and she's here also with some news. So go ahead, Esther.
Yes. Hi, everyone. So I'm in the third year of my Master of Arts program. So I was in your position a little while ago. And I can highly, highly recommend this program because it's definitely it's been one of the best, I guess, educational experiences I've had. And as my role as the graduate academic assistant and peer advisor, I work towards meeting the needs of the students. And one of those was creating a workshop The workshop is basically getting alumni students, so students who've graduated from the program and seeing where their careers have taken them, just so people in the program can see the different paths that this master's degree can take you. So that is happening on Wednesday, December 2nd from 5 to 6:30 p.m. There is a link where you can register, so I can put that in the chat, and you can also email me and I'll put that in the chat as well if you have any questions.
Well, that is fantastic, Esther, and it's so exciting that you can do this panel, and I hope that many of you here today can attend. And of course, if anybody has a comment for Esther or a question in the Q&A, you can post it there, and then we can follow it with you. But yes, so Esther, you said you were going to post your email as well in the chat box?
Yes, I'll just send that
Perfect.
now.
Okay, and okay, so when, let me just check, I was able to see this. Perfect, it came through. So thank you everyone. And thank you, Esther. So next, and following with our session today, Yvette Karuba, Senior Program Assistant with our Early Childhood Education cohorts, will start the component of the presentation that speaks precisely of all the admission requirements, including application, finances, and tuition, and then we'll stop for Q&A. And then I will continue with the program description and then have a Q&A time. We're hoping to finish at around 5 p.m., respecting everybody's times. And again, this session is being recorded. So if you have to leave, and your question hasn't been responded, just make sure that it is in the Q&A and we will follow up with it. So without further ado, let's see. Here is Yvette's presentation. And welcome, Yvette, if you want to introduce yourself and let me know when you want the slides move, and I will do that.
Sure, thank you. My name is Yvette Karuba, and I am the Senior Program Assistant for this program, which means I'll be providing student support and managing the applications and that come through. And if you have any questions regarding admissions and the requirements, you could contact me. I'm going to go through the different pieces of documents that we will need from you for the application. And if you have any questions, again, please ask me at the end of the presentation and I'll be happy to answer them. So we're looking for a 4-year undergraduate degree, a B+, 76% at UBC in all senior level courses, which is 300 level and above, or a B- range, 68% with a 4-year undergraduate degree plus a Bachelor of Education degree. Now, for those that do not meet that requirement, they will be considered special cases. And in those cases, the admissions committee would review all of your documents. And if they feel that you are a good candidate for the program, they will write what is called a special case rationale on your behalf, recommending you to the Faculty of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies. So we ask that you upload your transcripts from all post-secondary institutions that you've attended, with the exception of UBC, because I have access to UBC records. And when you upload them, we ask that you upload them front and back in a single file. The back of the transcript has a grading key that is used to calculate your GPA. So I really need that back part of your transcript. We ask that you request 2 official transcripts from all post-secondary institutions, and you keep one sealed and you open one, upload it to your application, And if you are admitted to the program, then the sealed transcript will be sent to the Faculty of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies. Now, if you've participated in an exchange program in your undergraduate degree, we must see transcripts from those institutions as well. And I suggest that you order 2 transcripts from those institutions too. Next. Now, applicants whose degree is in an unrelated field, like arts, commerce, general studies, may be accepted if they have completed a college or university certificate program in early childhood education. You must have completed at least 18 credits in early childhood education. We're also looking for a resume detailing your academic and work history and noting any additional relevant experiences such as courses, presentations, publications, volunteer work. Do you have anything to add, Mari, for the resume?
No, pretty much. I think it has everything here. And for publications, they don't have to be peer-reviewed publications. If you have any publication in a professional magazine or even online publications that have been shared with your agency or program, it's really nice that you add those to your resume.
We'd also like you to introduce your specific professional experience and interests. What specific issue, area, or population would you like to explore and acquire experience in? Why is it important to you, other practitioners, early educators, and the communities with whom and where you hope to work? Please limit your response to 400 words.
Yes, we always have like many interesting summaries of the background that you hold and your passion. And it's interesting to see how these interests and passions keep manifesting throughout the program, even if other passions and interests are found. So this is a very important summary that Yvette just mentioned. Would you like me to continue with the slides? Yeah.
We also want you to outline your general career objectives, including both immediate and long-term academic and professional goals. In your response, indicate how you see this aligning with the graduate program in early childhood education. Please limit your response to 400 words.
So similar to, so what you said before, yes.
Okay. As well, we want you to please describe any professional experiences you've undertaken that are relevant to the study in early childhood education. And please limit your response to 400 words.
Exactly. And these ones are not the volunteer experiences, but professionals where you have been supervised in your work, right? Yes.
Next. We're also looking for one sample of academic or professional writing, such as a term paper or a substantial scholarly paper. Your resources must be cited, and it should be on an early childhood topic. If you do not have a writing sample, please visit the EC21 program website, and under the Admissions Information tab, select one of the 2 articles and provide a scholarly summary of the article with your own reflections and connections to practice. This summary should have a word count of 500 words, in addition to the reference list that matches references provided in text, preferably using APA format, MLA, and other formats are acceptable.
Exactly. And we added this component because we realized that some of you have studied several years ago, have finished your studies, or you were not too happy with papers that in the past that you would like to share. So we have this opportunity to show your scholarly work. And it is very important that your references are always cited in text and connected, with the reference list, and that they match, and that you are consistent with the system use as well. APA is a preferred in the Faculty of Education, but if your paper was written or if you are currently using something like MLA, that will be accepted as well, but APA is preferable. Would you like me to continue?
Yes, please. Considering an inclusive definition of culture that includes but is not limited to cultural identities and social locations such as race, ethnicity, age, gender, sexual orientation, nationality, status in country, indigenous heritage, religion, spirituality, social class, physical and mental abilities, and disabilities. Please describe any experiences and or training you have with these inclusive definition of culture. Discuss how it relates to your past, present, and future proposed work in early childhood education. How do you think your own cultural background and professional experiences have influenced your practice and research goals? In addressing these questions, you may choose to speak to issues such as forms of privilege you have, your own identity, your knowledge of the history of the field of early childhood education, and or how your professional interests relate to issues of culture, diversity, and social justice. Please limit your response to 400 words.
And this is a very important addition and expansion to, you know, to the previous application form we had, and that Dr. Ford recommended and spearheaded for this application process, because we really want to hear from you coming from these perspectives. And of course, it's not that you have to speak to everything, but if there's anything here that resonates with you, it will be important to highlight. And Lori, if you're here, because I think you are, but I cannot see right now.
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Yes, if you wanted to add anything to it, of
No,
what motivated you, you know, the team and with your leadership for this, it would be great for the applicants.
yeah. Again, I know that, you know, we don't really necessarily need to read all the admissions questions to you. They'll be there, but I think having a general sense, basically this question, again, as I mentioned, that looking for a group of students. So if you were to be admitted to the program, one of the things that we're going to be looking at is your engagement and commitment, and how you're looking and how the work that you're doing relates to issues of cultural diversity and social justice. We know that's a very broad area and we interpret it very broadly, but to think about that, and that's going to be a very personal question, but it's important to us because it's a very strong focus within our program. So, you know, I think it's it's not unusual in 2020 that I think you probably are, I'm assuming you're applying to other programs as well. I always encourage people to apply to multiple programs, but I think that this is, you know, very much the state of where we are in society today. So it's important to us. So thanks, Mari.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you. Yvette, would you like me to proceed?
Yes, please. We're also looking for 3 references, 1 academic and 2 professional references. Your professional references should be from people who have supervised you, from educators, clients. Are we accepting colleagues as well? Colleagues?
In supervisory positions.
Okay. That speak to your abilities to complete a graduate degree and interest in social studies, in early childhood education. I'm sorry, there is an error there. My mistake. Yeah. I apologize.
This is Lori. Can I just add a comment though on that? This is just me being on a lot of admissions committees, and I would say that this is where doing admissions in a lot of different programs, I see where sometimes students go a little, sorry, my dog Gracie is wanting to apparently apply to the MEd online cohort as well. She's eagerly, I think, just think about your references. These are not like your neighbor. Yeah, they need to be professional references, people who know you in a professional context.
Exactly.
And usually a person who knows you in a professional context can also speak to your character and those kinds of things. But because this is a graduate program, it's not necessarily a job. We're looking for people who can speak to your success as a graduate student and your success in working with it. And I think that's where a lot of people will get people who they know, who know them well personally, to write the references, but we don't get a picture of basically the letters we wanting them to be able, the questions that a referee is going to be asked are questions about their understanding of your success in graduate school. And if they haven't had any experience with you in any of those kinds of situations that are more professional in nature, it's hard to answer those questions. So just encourage you to kind of think heavily about that. I always think that that's one of the key things in your application is to really think
True.
about your references and who you're going to ask. Thanks. Sorry to interrupt.
Absolutely true. No, this is great. And your experience here with admissions is invaluable. Thank you. Anything else, Yvette, that you wanted to highlight here?
We ask that you please use your that your referees use the e-reference system. It is secure. It provides instructions. It's much faster than if they mail in a reference. So we ask that we strongly suggest that your referees use the e-reference system, and they can also upload their own letters to the system. So they don't have to use the form provided. They could use they can upload their own letter, and instructions are provided to them. If they are a retired professor, let's say, and they choose to mail in the reference, they can mail the reference to our office, and I could send you our address. And as long as they sign the seal on the flap of the envelope. And we do not accept references by phone.
Exactly. And the mailing address you would add at the same time, again, with COVID-19 pandemic and the campus being closed, all of this, mailing, the mail and everything that is physical is a bit slower in distribution. So the recommendation for electronic uploading is always the first. And the other thing that I always say is remember to provide your referees with a lot of time for references. If you send them like the week before or even 2 weeks earlier, it can be too late. So make sure that they have at least 4 to 6 weeks in advance, and then that you send a gentle reminder, right? Because you will know when the reference letters are in. Because it's tricky for the people who are writing your references too. So make sure about that. If you have any concerns about who to choose as a reference, applicants always email me. Would this person work? Would this person not work? As the cohort advisor, I am not involved with the admission committee, so I can sort of tell you, like this could be a person that sounds like could be a good reference. This person is in a position that I don't think it would be appropriate. For example, someone who has worked with you but has not had any experience of you in a sort of supervisory or mentorship position, just any colleague, that wouldn't be enough. In this case. And as Dr. Lori Ford just mentioned, is someone who really knows you and who can speak to your scholarly work and your professional work. Scholarly work for the academic reference and the professional work for the professional reference. It may be that you have left your university studies for many years, decades, and you will not have access to a professor who was there, for you in the past, I don't know, 5 to 10 years even. And so if you have taken other courses in the meantime, other courses where the instructor can speak to your scholarly work, then you should consider that as well. Some students have also used their faculty advisor when they were in their teaching preparation career. So as they're taking their BEd and they're still in touch with their faculty advisor who supervise their practicum, and this has been a very solid source of references for us. So I'm sure that more questions will come with that and that we can cover later on, but I know that these are questions that generally come to our info sessions. Yvette, let me know if you want me to.
Next, please. Applicants from a university outside of Canada in which English is not the primary language of instruction must provide results of an English language proficiency examination as part of their application. Tests must have been taken within the last 24 months at the time of admission of your application. Please contact me if this applies to you.
Yeah,
Next.
yeah. And I just wanted to clarify here because sometimes I, receive emails from students who come from countries where the official language is not English, but the official education language is English. And so they say, all my education was completed in English. Do I still need to show the language proficiency? And I have learned that the answer is yes. You still need to do this even if the language of education in your country of origin was English, but because of because institution being located in another country, which doesn't have English as the official language, then this is needed. And I know that this is a frequent question, so I just remembered about it. Yeah.
Next slide. So for the application procedures, the application is open. You would go to grad.ubc.ca/apply/online. And when you do your program search, the easiest way is to type in EC21. But if you want to type it out the long way, it's MEd in Early Childhood Education -professional cohort. And it's a September 2021 start. Now, and this is very important, if you have attended UBC before and you have your ID, please use that ID.
For the September 2021, yeah.
Yes. Please use, if you have attended UBC before, please use that student ID number. Do not create a new one. It creates a lot of complication and delays. And if you don't have that UBC ID number, please contact me. As well as we ask that you upload all of your supporting documents to your application.
And all those supporting documents include the references, the transcripts, right?
The resume,
and the
your
resume.
writing pieces.
Exactly. So all of those, and the system will provide you with guide like that, with a guideline for that.
So again, the application is open. The deadline is January 31st, 2021. For domestic students, the application fee is $106. If you are an international applicant, that means you're not a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident, then the fee is $168.25 Canadian. Next. So currently, the domestic tuition fee installment is currently $19.30 and change plus student fees. So there are 3 terms per year, so that would be approximately the amount, well, currently that is the amount that's being charged per term. So currently the domestic program tuition cost is currently $15,443 and change plus student fees. And if you're an international student, then the installment fee is currently $2,006 and change Canadian plus student fees. So then the international program tuition cost is currently $16,055 and change Canadian plus student fees. And so there's a minimum of 8 tuition fee installments that you pay. So that covers 8 terms, 2.5 years. The student fees are in addition to your tuition fee, and that varies from term to term. For this current term, 2020, winter term 1, it was approximately $750. And there's about 2 opt-out opt-out provisions where you can save some money. So as well, the university reserves the right to increase fees once a year. And typically they raise it in May. And I believe it was about 3% last year. So those fees will change. And you would be paying a whole program fee, not a per credit fee.
Thank you, Yvette. I'm just reminded as you finish this section that many times a question that comes up is about student help, financial help for students, if there's any student bursaries or student financial help. And for a part-time program, which this is a professional and part-time graduate program, UBC does not provide financial help. And this is very important for students to know when they apply, because this is a question that often comes, and usually our recommendation has been that they also access their agencies or their unions for assistance if there is, any possibility in this way. So it's very important for students to know this part. And yeah, I'm sure that there may be other comments coming later. And I don't know if you want me to continue.
Yes, please. So the student fees and the health and dental fee. So the health and dental fee is assessed each year at the start of September term. And this charge will appear on your September to December term assessment. And the student fees are charged in addition to tuition and vary from term to term. So we ask that you budget approximately $750 per term, but it will likely be less for term 2 and even less for the summer term. And the summer term is considered as one term, but it's divided into 2. So the health and dental fee is currently $264.63 per year. There's no charge in the summer term. But if you wish to opt out of it, there's temporary and permanent opt-out options available to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And those have like dates that Yvette will be prompting everyone to,
Right.
get accepted for this.
Right.
I saw that there was someone with a hand up. We will stop very soon for the first part of the conversation for Q&A. If you can be patient, and thank you so much for your patience and for waiting.
For the UPass or Compass Card fee, that's also something that you can possibly opt out of if you do not live in the Vancouver Lower Mainland and are nowhere near TransLink, which is the transit service that we have here. There's a charge of $170 per term that appears on your fee assessment in the term. So if you live outside of that area, out of province, abroad, you can apply for a UPass exemption, which you would have to do each term. But if you do live in Vancouver, then the Compass Card would provide you with a 3-zone access on public transit, which is good.
It's pretty good. It gives a discount. It's pretty similar to other institutions.
Exactly. Next. Now, teacher education certificates. This is directed to teachers in the Vancouver Lower Mainland that have taken UBC students in their classrooms as student teachers. If this applies to you, please contact the Teacher Education Office at teacher.ed.ubc.ca. And that's also possible savings off of your tuition. So, or if you know other teachers or colleagues that have them but are not using them, you may want to ask them if you could use theirs, but you have to pay attention to the expiry date on those certificates.
It's almost like a coupon.
Yes.
Thank you. This is a very important one.
And if you have any questions, concerns, feedback, comments, please don't hesitate to contact me. I'm here to support you in this process. If you have any academic questions, you can contact Dr. Mari Pigini, and her contact information is there. And I can answer some of your questions at this point.
Exactly. And of course, if some of our questions require like a bit more on the academic content of the program that has to do with some other aspects of logistics, there is where our wonderful Vicky Domansky comes in. So yes, this is a time for Q&A. And Arshia, if you can direct me on how to, without stopping the slides, or someone can prompt me about the questions, then I'm whatever comes my way, I'm very happy to address, or if they are for Yvette.
They seem to be for me, and I'll just read them out loud and answer them.
Perfect.
The first question is, what do I do if I'm no longer in contact with any professors?
Okay, so that
So
gets...
Lori would like to speak.
I'll take that. Yeah. Again, as I said, they don't really have to be professors. I mean, that would be great. I would encourage you to try to make contact with them and make them remember, because you do want an academic reference. I mean, again, everybody's file is different, and we're looking to see that you have some academic credentials. If you don't, find people who can speak to that. So if you've got people at work, make sure that they know what your grades were like, or that they know what those, so make sure that they not only know about you, maybe in your job as or they're supervising you as a principal or a teacher or a center director, but make sure that they have some information that they can speak. I mean, the questions that they're asked are to ask about your academic performance. So you might want to, tell them, or if for some reason you didn't have a great academic performance and something has changed, you might, have them speak to that. So if you can't find a, professor, find people who've worked with you in those situations. I always say, I do encourage people to try to make a little bit of an extra attempt at that, because it's really helpful to have at least one of those in the pool, ideally more. But again, I always tell people, realize that our goal is to, we've got more we don't want everything to be an exception. So you want to try to find people who can, if it's asking you for certain types of reference, do everything you can to get those. If you can't, then you get people who can still speak to that. So I don't know if that's helpful or not.
The second question was related to references as well, and getting an academic reference. Excuse me. And they haven't taken courses for decades, but they have a lot of professional ones.
Yeah, this is just what I said. If you don't have an academic one, or if it's that long, make sure that those professional ones can still talk about your potential for success in graduate school, not just your success for practice, but that make sure that if you don't have anybody, that I always tell my students, Esther's online, she's one of my students, when I write references, give them a package so that they can write the right reference letter for you. Make sure that they've got your resume and your CV, that they can tell your story. Don't rely on them. If you want in the program, get them to sell. So if you don't have somebody as an academic reference, make sure that that they can speak to your academic potential. And I do know that happens if you've been out of school for a long time, but make sure it's not just about your interactions with children, that they're able to speak to that. And if they know you well and you can share that information, hopefully they can speak to it. So hopefully that'll help.
The next question pertains to the transit UPass. If you live in the Lower Mainland, then you cannot be exempt from the UPass charge. Only if you're outside of the Vancouver Lower Mainland, where TransLink does not reach you, that's the only time you could apply for exemption.
And I wanted to add that when campus is open, even online students come to campus for meetings, for workshops, for the library, for anything that applies. So and students are still using transportation. So I just wanted to add that, not to excuse or not excuse that the program is online. This is a general disposition from UBC. Yeah, about the compass, because we have had this question before as well.
And lastly, how many applicants are admitted each year?
There's a minimum of 12 to 15 applicants. And when we have had cohorts with 25 applicants, and yes, and anything, over this, then there's, ways to separate the cohorts if this happens. But I would say an average of 18 every year. And the graduation rate is pretty high. I would say it's like 98%. This is based on our last calculation, which is another question that always comes. I just noticed 1 minute that it popped up that there were also questions in the chat. Yeah, and I don't know if they're different from these ones, but it would be worthwhile to check. I know that here in the slide I said, ask your questions in the chat box. This is before we had the Q&A option. So sorry about that confusion. It's preferable if you do keep them in the Q&A. And we're going to have more time at the end as well, because I'm going to start with my next part very soon.
There are additional questions here, like, is the course load manageable while teaching full-time?
Yes, we will talk about this very soon in my component. It is manageable, and it's also full. And this is one of the aspects that I will touch, and we can elaborate more.
Someone's also asking if there's any student loans for this program.
Oh, this is something that I addressed a little while ago, that because this is a part-time program and a professional master's, there are no bursaries or student loans from the university. So no financial help was what I mentioned before from the university, but students are encouraged to, again, ask in their own programs or agencies or unions about financial help. And I know that we have had several students who have received this for their program, but not from UBC.
And is this program complete after 1 year? No, the program is 2.5 years in length.
Exactly. And there's no way to really rush the online program cohort because it's a cohort program. So that, and this is something I'm going to speak to right now. It's a 1 core course per semester. And this is a question that has come in the past. The on-campus option offers the possibility for a more compressed or condensed program, but not the online in this regard.
And lastly, are there specific webinar times?
This is an interesting question. And I will also speak more about it. So our program was conceived as an asynchronous program. Where students would, listen to all the sessions and recorded sessions and read the material on their own time, especially because we have always students from many different time zones and with very different commitments. In our program, we do have specific webinar times for cohort check-ins that I do regularly, and also meetings with instructors and their courses, which most instructors do regularly. Some instructors use more the visual form of communication. Within our program, it is not mandatory to be synchronously, that means at the same time. So with COVID-19, what has happened, I know that Lori wants to say something, just a second.
I don't know if you can see me or not. You keep saying you can.
Oh, no, just 1 second. With COVID-19, what has happened is that we have noticed that students have been asking for more time, in a webinar, or it's not really webinar. We do it actually as sessions, as class sessions that are recorded, but and it's great. I love that. But they're always recorded so that people can come in when they can, leave when they must, and they're always required to then watch it on their own time. Lori, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I just thought something that I don't even know that Mari's, because this is just coming down recently. As she mentioned, we're revisiting this. There's mixed asynchronous. There's a lot that we're learning about teaching pedagogy in COVID world. So I think we anticipate that we will have a bit of a mix, and depending on what that looks like, and we're actually going to be doing some work with some of our students to get some feedback on that. So I think a lot of it'll be as Mari's describing, but there might be a few tweaks and changes between now and next September. But yeah.
Exactly. We're learning. I
And there's
hope that addressed the question. Yvette, sorry, you were going to say
There's
something.
one last question that's how many classes do you take at a time? And that is one required course per term, unless you wish to take elective courses. And I know that Mari will speak to that.
I'm going to speak to that right away. So that's a great segue for the next part. Thank you, Yvette, for following up with the questions. And yes, so I will be speaking to that question very soon. So we just finished the first part of the presentation today for the information session with all the program admin and logistics and for admissions that Yvette covered very comprehensively. And we had some great questions and also some contributions from Dr. Ford. And we also had the introductions from Vanessa Smith and Vicky Damansky, graduate academic assistant, and Esther Aquilano as graduate academic assistant and peer advisor, and Vanessa Smith as our management. So now we move on to the second part, where basically I'm going to be speaking to the program and some of the questions that you may have about what is it that I'm getting into, and can I commit to this? So I know that several interests move you for this program. I have some quotes from past applicants, and maybe you can feel that you can relate to one of them, or maybe you can have some other ideas about your motivation. And if this is so, it will be great that you add them in the chat, not in the Q&A, but in the chat, about what moves you, what motivates you to apply to this program, because then we can compare and contrast. I wanted to also mention that with great pride and honor and kudos to everybody who supports this program in such a wonderful way, we have been celebrating our 10-year anniversary of the online cohort. We started as a sort of more like a hybrid program. It was in New Westminster, Saturday meetings once a month, and then online, and then it moved to totally online. So it's incredible that we're moving to our 11th year. And so some of the motivations for students to apply are, specific pedagogies or philosophies or methods or approaches that have guided their work as educators or as professionals working with with other educators, with parents and children, because not everyone who applies here is an educator, directly working with children. Some people have applied because as parents they have experienced a particular situation where they have even changed careers because of their parenting and relationship with children have guided them to look into another possibility in their career world. Some of them have come from very complex and interesting backgrounds where not only their own careers, maybe as an educator, but having lived in different countries, having experienced different historical times, and especially now with everything we're living, not only the pandemic, the global climate crisis, migrants and refugees, and all the history, the history of racism and oppression and prejudice that we're reliving once again with everything coming out with social and economic disparities. So all of these are motivators that bring people to sort of resituate, you know, like what is it that they want to do for graduate work. So this program, you know, really brings some of these incredible and diverse interests and motivation for people to apply. And when you get accepted, you will, or for those for you who apply and get accepted, you will find out, you know, as you start this community of learning with your colleague and your cohort mates. So basically the program has been conceived as one that looks at issues in early childhood research, theory, and practice. The program is a professional master's, meaning that there is no thesis or research that is involved for the completion of your program. This is very important for you to know from the very beginning and to remember. What we do have is a wonderful opportunity at the end of the program, which is an e-portfolio project as a capstone project, non-thesis program. It used to be up to 2015. We didn't have a cohort in 2016. It used to be that it was a graduating paper, and you can find them in the at the UBC library repository. I'll send a link about that. Some of the very beautiful graduating papers. And then we move into an e-portfolio that has also been incredibly rewarding, where students really capture their journey and illustrate their master's journey with assignments that are, you know, their artifacts that support that process. You can see through the program how students really broaden their lens from, you know, whatever they have in their current knowledge and anything that is of interest to them as professionals, and how they bring this into their practices. We are gradually honoring, like Lori mentioned at the beginning, we're honoring and we're gradually implementing and expanding on Indigenous content that speaks to Indigenous ways of learning and knowing. As we revise our courses and our program, we make sure that these reflect the recommendations from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada. Is something that we hold as very, very important. We also want to meet your interests, and we know that you come from a variety of background. And again, in the Q&A, when we stop, we'll have a bit of a conversation to learn more from your own backgrounds and what brings you here. And you know, are you working in an early childhood setting right now, daycare, preschool? Are you a primary school teacher? Are you an intermediate or high school teacher who have gone, you know, to shifted interest to the early years? Do you work from a non-government for a non-government organization or for a government department? We have had and continue to have people who are working in policy, for example, and who have really now grounded their learning here in early childhood education. So as you see, you know, we want to honor, you know, that early childhood is wide and diverse, and yes, and the program tries to speak to this. So in terms of the structure of the program, and coming more to the question that was asked earlier on, the students do take courses together. So there is one core course, right, per semester. And so this is, you can see this at the link in the, you know, shown here, which has a schedule. And I have a slide that sort of shows the progress on the courses. Again, as Dr. Ford mentioned, you know, there may be some adaptations to that. So this is what we have right now, but we are in progressing in that matter. And when you get to select your electives, because you will have, and I'll show everything in a slide right now, but you will have out of your 30 course credits, right? 6 credits, so 2 3-credit courses are electives in early childhood education. So at that time, or at that moment in the term, you would have 2 courses. So the core course and the elective. There are some exceptions that I'll speak to very, very soon. Does someone need to speak?
Hello.
Hello? Hello? Oh, I hear a
Okay.
voice better.
I
I'm sorry.
come up. Right in call. That's okay. I'll run out real quick.
Oh, I guess Dr. Ford was talking to someone, and I thought that there was someone trying to speak. Okay, so the core courses and the electives. So yes, 1 core course, and these courses, because it is cohort program, they're only offered once a term and once a year. Okay, so this is important for people to know. The course content is multidisciplinary, and all of these courses have been designed and written specifically for this master's, which means that they're also being revised and reviewed, to attend to students' needs. I have a quote from one of the students who was graduating earlier this year, and it is interesting because being an exclusively online format, in general, students feel, oh, I'm going to be so detached, or I'm not going to feel part of a community. And the experience has been quite different. It's incredible what can happen online. Of course, prior to the COVID-19 pandemic restrictions, there were more opportunities for people also to connect. But we have examples of partnerships happening from people taking the train, I don't know, between provinces and meeting in the border, at the border, for example, and then connecting with policy issues, and then impacting their own provinces with what they're doing. So and others more local, just meeting at coffee shops or here at UBC. So the online community fosters this type of exchange, and this is why Esther, under the direction of Dr. Lori Ford, they came with this idea of having this workshop and with former students who keep connected after years, connected with us and connected among them. When I talked about multidisciplinary program, I referred to how our core courses come from different departments. One of them is language and literacy in education. The other one comes from, of course, our own programs, early childhood, from educational and counseling psychology, and from EDUC, which is the teacher education office. So you will see that. And for your electives, you have more options also to select. So some students are interested in courses offered by the counseling psychology unit or department, or from the library education program, or from the home economics. So adult education are also that are popular. So you would check with me if this was the situation. So now going over more about the credits, it's, as I mentioned before, it's 30 credits. Every course is 3 credits. So you have 8 core courses and 2 electives. And the electives are selected from a pool of approved courses. If you get accepted, or if and when, we will talk more about, what are possible electives. When you graduate after the 2.5 academic year program, you obtain a degree that reads Masters in Education in Early Childhood Programs. It doesn't read online. I am saying this because many times I have received, questions, does my certificate read online? It doesn't read online. It's identical to any of the on-campus programs, the degree. So because it has the same, credit requirements. Okay. So what are opportunities for you following graduation? This is something that will be explored more in that workshop, but I know that it comes here many times, and students have found that not only, you know, they advance in their own pedagogical practices or in their own work, being with, as you know, intervention or policy or pedagogical or social or community work situations. So they advance to senior administrative roles. They advance as instructors for colleges and university undergraduate courses. If you're in British Columbia, it also advances you in the teacher qualification services for a nice pay raise, because it advances you through another category. And for other and if you're an educator with a school system, of course, in other provinces, you would have to find about this in your own province. So we have, you know, you will meet them if you attend the seminar, you know, students in leadership positions. Some students also ask me, you know, can I come back for a PhD? In reality, the Master of Education as a professional program does not prepare students for PhD programs. However, we have had several students, and I believe one of them is speaking at the December 2nd get together or the graduate student workshop. This student, you know, completed the necessary prerequisite courses and completed an EdD. And there's another student from UBC, from this program, from the on-campus program, who recently graduated and completed a PhD. So as I say, where there's a will, there's a way. I want to insist that our program is not research oriented, so it doesn't prepare students for a PhD or an EdD, but some students have found that this is a way that they can complete their master's program, and years later they find a way to complete the necessary prerequisites or engage in research and in publication, and then, you know, they pursue their dream. I wanted to provide a few, I wanted to, dedicate the next few minutes to just sort of provide you with an idea of the courses, because I talked about the one course per term. So in this way, you have an idea of how the program would look like. And I have also added the names of current and past instructors. That doesn't mean that they're going to be the same, but just for you to have an idea. So pretty much, so this one was for last year. So we started the methods course, which I have taught, and that's the first course for the cohort. And then continue with term 2 with the review of research, and the term 3, which is the summer. So the academic year has the 3 terms. This is very important for you to know. September to December, January to April, there's a 2-3 week sort of pause, and then started in May to August, the summer, and it's not optional. So once you commit, you have the three terms. But as Yvette Karuba mentioned before, you don't pay by credit, you're paying by installment. Okay, so this is very important, because even if you take an elective, that won't add to your installment. I think there is a fee that is added for some of the elective, or for the elective credit, but I am not gonna go into that right now. This is more for an orientation. So year 2 is the same with the 3 courses that you see right here, and the year 3 is completed with a course in leadership, also taught by Dr. Iris Berger, and we begin the e-portfolio. So year 3 is year 2.5, really, the e-portfolio capstone project. And you begin with it together just for the proposal, but then the course really continues with the implementation in the last term, which is January. If you take electives, we usually recommend in the summer, which are the lightest of the terms. So that's more or less like an overview. So for you to have an idea also of the topics, that you have, you see that we have on social cultural perspectives, you see that we have literacy, social and emotional development, early intervention and special needs. So it's providing really a multidisciplinary and broad view of early childhood education and we're exploring ways of making it even better. In terms of elective courses, as I said, you would sort of check on these options. And I wanted to just quickly speak to other options. The summer institutes that we couldn't have this year because of COVID-19 pandemics, and they're on campus for a week, sometimes 10 days, but we're aiming to have them for next year online if necessary. The last one was 2019, offered here, trauma, risk, and resiliency, working with young refugee children and families. The beauty of the Summer Institute is that not only you get to meet everyone who attends, it's 1 week and you complete your 3 credits. So you can be taking your other core courses online, core course online. And yes, if you and then you would consult, or connect with me for taking electives during winter, which many students do. So hopefully we will be able also to, to be back on campus and have the Summer Institute soon. As I said before, you have a lot of options for the approved electives. I don't want to repeat this, but you have options, right? And students just consult with me as an advisor. Some students ask, like I took already these other courses that I wanted to apply for my master's. Can I do that? And the answer is that if they were taken within the past 5 years, if they were percentage based, 300 level from a reputable institution or accredited by UBC, and with a percentage, in the A range, A, B plus A range. No, I think it's A range. Then you can apply them after you're accepted for your electives, right? And see that they are approved by graduate programs. And the other answer is there's no double dipping. So if you use courses for your application, so that you have enough, the credits and the GPS, you cannot apply them for electives. And again, these are questions that are more also for later on for orientation, but I want to make sure that, because I know they come up, and this would be interesting for you to know. There's one aspect that Yvette mentioned, which was the Western Dean Agreement and credit transfer, and that refers to the elective situation that I mentioned before. And UBC is a signatory to an accord called the Western Dean's Agreement, where some universities so UBC will accept from some universities if you take for example, a course in another university as an elective, not core course, and then you can use them for your program. And this is something, if you get accepted or when you get accepted, that we would follow up. And again, you wouldn't pay extra because it's part of your installment, okay? So I have a quote there also of a student who took an art course, and this was in Edmonton, and it was incredible how the art course was art course in education, and it related totally to her area of interest, and it was a wonderful elective that she was able to take, or they were able to take. Just into sort of getting closer to the end of my part of the session, we wanted to make sure that you know that you are well supported in this program. So if and when you get accepted, you have the support from instructors, cohort advisor, and director, and the whole administrative and logistics from the Professional Development and Community Engagement Unit, where Vanessa and Yvette and Vicky sit, and then also working in coordination with the online team, the Educational Technology Services, where Arshia is right now, and under the supervision of Ian Linkletter, and of course UBC IT support. It's very important if you get accepted that you know that you need, it's an online program, so you need some, you know, technology infrastructure that I wrote there. And I write this because not everybody has access to all of this right away. So it's good to be thinking about them, especially when we have the Collaborate Ultra web conferences. The next, I'm going to stop here, and we're going to have a Q&A session very soon. But before I proceed, I had a little bit of a surprise with our graduate academic assistant speaking from the Center for Early Childhood Education and Research, which is the research component that Dr. Lori Ford spoke, and whose director is Dr. Shannon Bredin. So Aurea Vericat, if you're here, if you managed to log in, it would be great if you were able to speak about something that you're preparing, and that would be important for the applicants to know, because it would be something you would be interested. So introducing Aurea Vericat Rocha, PhD candidate.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I'm very excited to connect with you today from the space I occupied on unceded territories of the Musqueam Nation. As Mary said, my name is Aurea Vericat, and I'm a PhD candidate in early childhood education in the cross-faculty inquiry program. So it is possible to take this journey into a PhD as well. So I really encourage you to explore that. If that is in your ambitions, you're in the best place to accomplish that. But I'm here today to talk about something more exciting. As Mary mentioned, it is very important for you to be connected and to have a community. And we do have a thriving community of students, practitioners, scholars at UBC. And there are a couple of ways in which you can get connected to them. Esther already mentioned the workshop that is coming up. And I want to share with you that we also have Spark. And if you haven't heard about Spark, Spark is the early years conference organized by students. It's a student-run conference, and it has already happened twice, the last time in 2019. And I'm going to be sharing on the chat the links so that you can take a look at Spark and see what was shared in 2019. We also are very, very excited about a recent publication in the Journal of Childhood Studies that showcases papers from students, practitioners, and scholars that presented at Spark 2019. That's also going to be in the chat. So please stay tuned, because we are preparing the next Spark, and it's going to be online. We are just anticipating that it's a great opportunity to really reach out to all of you who are all over the world and just making the best of these circumstances and really wanting to connect with all the professionals and students around the world. So I'm just going to share those links in the chat. And also, please take a look at our Facebook pages. We have a UBC Early Childhood Education page, and also a page for Spark for the conference. And feel free to connect there, because there are lots of resources. That's where we have one-on-one connections all the time, and it's free, and it's a way to really have a sense of the vibrant community and the diverse community that UBC offers in early childhood education. I'm also gonna share my email, so again, feel free to connect anytime, any question, any wonder that you might have. We are super happy to connect with you. And yeah, stay tuned for the next Spark that will be available for all of you, both to present and also to facilitate, because we're trying to find new and creative formats to make it more engaging. it was already super engaging and super fun on campus. But this new reality brings new challenges, and we are excited to explore those. So that's it for me. I don't want to keep you longer, and I'm just going to share that information in the chat. And thank you very much for having me tonight.
What a pleasure to have you, Aurea. You know, we had Esther at the beginning with some exciting news, and then we have about the workshop coming up in December 2nd, and then we have you talking about the Spark Graduate Student Conference, and this is wonderful. And then again, to make sure that applicants know that even if it's an online program and remote for many of you who come from many different parts, to know that there is a community indeed. And, you know, to those of you, even if you don't apply to the program and you want to be part of the ECE Facebook community, Esther and Aurea are like dedicated there, and you can learn about so many things happening and connect with so many people. So thank you so much. And like you say, more to come as you continue planning with Dr. Shannon Redding, CSER director, and everybody involved. I think, Esther, I think you may be also in there too, somehow, because I remember from past events. So if there's any questions, just make sure to place them in the Q&A. And I just wanted to end the presentation, not the session, just reminding, you know, us of some of the experiences from graduate students. And one quote that I added just for this presentation today was a student who is graduating this coming year, and she was commenting about the work in the social and emotional development course. That is one that is well, one of the favorites with the interest in social and emotional learning and development. And so she says the work we do is all relational at the core, and with her classmate, they're working together on an assignment for the course about supporting early childhood educators to reflect on their own stresses, triggers, and coping abilities that will both help them manage as well as support children. It is practical as we can use it in our work. And so this is great because just then this is a way for you to see how all the research derived work and theory connected work that they are doing, it can be transferred to their work. And I want to also to say that, and I right now, the website escapes to me, but there is Handle with Care, the Handle with Care program in Ontario, which is a worldwide known a program supporting children and youth with in social and emotional, but also mental health. So one of the projects that the students in the cohort that just graduated EC17, that they prepared, it's featured there. It was invited by the organization to have it featured there. So I just want to tell you, you know, like I am excited about this because I can see how, you know, where they can take all of you, depending on what you would like, being an advocate, being just a long time, you know, researcher or inquiry-based learner, and you know, connecting with others and learning in different ways from students and educators alike. So we're ready for you for the final questions and queries. And at this point, Arshia, I'm very happy if you could allow for, how do you say, or an event, you know, for students to unmute and even use their cameras if they like. What I'll do is that I'll stop sharing. If I need to, I'll start again. Here is the contact information. So this is my contact information for Dr. Mari Pigini, oopsies, and Yvette also. And we're very happy to have questions and queries, comments, and also to learn where did you connect from today, and where, you know, so what is it that brought you here? So eager to hear from you right now. We have a few minutes. And thank you again, Aurea, and thank you to everyone. Thank you, Lori, Vicky, Vanessa, and Arshia, and of course, Yvette. we have to do this together. So yeah.
Does anyone have any questions for us?
And does everybody, let me see, do the participants have, okay, I don't see the attendance. Okay, so, oh, you know what? They need to allow to talk. So allow to talk, allow to talk. I am putting allow to talk to all.
Okay.
Because if not, I mean, you can still use the chat, but, and we're still recording the session, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so anybody who would like to talk or to show their camera, they're welcome to do so. Kimmy, I think you have.
I did. And I don't know how to share my camera because I don't have that option on right now, but I just.
Is it possible for students to share the camera?
No, the students can't share camera, like any attendees in the webinar are not able to, but they can unmute and speak. That shouldn't be a
Okay,
problem.
so just voice, it's one of the limitations of the webinar. So Kimmy and I talked a few days back, so I can visualize you, but others can't. Go ahead, Kimmy.
You know, a couple of things. First of all, I want to thank you and everyone for having this. It was most informative, and from watching last year's information session and watching this year's, I have to tell you that you've done really, really well with this one, because you have a slide presentation, which makes it, for those of us who are visual learners, we can go back and we can actually see all the slides. So thank you for that. It was most informative. And I want to just say that the reason why I chose UBC was because I have a colleague of mine at a college, which we are together working at, highly recommended UBC. And I was considering University of Guelph in my hometown. And after researching UBC, I am super excited and joining UBC, hopefully, as your program offers more than any other university that I've looked into. So I just want to say congratulations for that. And I'm super excited. And thank you for the information session today.
Thank you, Kimmy. And I know you had a few other questions also from our conversation a few days back. Did you feel that those were addressed, or is there anything left? Because, you know, sometimes when you bring questions and other people think also, oh yeah, I had a similar question.
Yes, I've got about 5 pages of notes right now. And yes, I'm going to say that and Yvette, I thank you so much. You've totally answered so many questions like you said that you would. And so it is really fantastic. And it was really nice to see everyone's face as Mari and I were talking. It's really nice to put a face to the voice. And I don't really have any. I mean, you've really spelled it out for us, and it's really quite clear. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Kimmy. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anybody else, or Yvette, do you see anything in the chat? Somehow, again, the chat disappeared for me.
Just thank you very much for hosting this session. It was very informative.
That is wonderful. So in the Q&A and in the chat, anything else?
I don't see any in the Q&A.
Any of those? Okay, so that means that maybe what we covered for the program was expansive enough, or that you're thinking of more questions, and in which case, please do email us with your questions, because they are important to us and they help us to do things any better. And I don't know if Dr. Lori Ford has anything else to add, or you know, Vicky or anyone here, or Audia or Esther, or Yeah.
I think Esther left. Again, in my role, I just want to say, first off, thank you, I guess, Kimmy, for those kind words about UBC. And again, I know that applying to graduate programs is stressful, and I just wish you luck, and I wish you the best of luck in finding the program that's the best fit for you. And I suspect a few of you may be here with us in the future, so our paths will cross, and if not, it's okay too. And just, do what's best for you, be safe, and take care of yourself in these challenging times. Anyway, thank you for taking your time to spend time with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lori. And well, if no more questions, I'm just going to give one more second just to check if there's anything else. Otherwise, we can stop the recording. And then the recording will be made available in a couple of days on the website where you found the information. And you can revisit it. Oh, and I just wanted to say to Kimmy, I'm so happy that you mentioned about the slide presentation. What happened last year is that something happened when we were presenting, not using this format, and the slides, something happened and the slides were lost, so they ended up being separate, which is not useful. So I'm very happy that you could see it. You could see it all. So thank you for saying that. Thank you. Yes. I never got to see if people had commented on where they were coming from. Let me see. And somehow my mouse is not contributing with the movement on the screen right now. But if the chat is saved, I'll be able to see those. Anybody mentioned where they were connected today? And I think there's one more question in the Q&A. Yvette, do you know if anybody mentioned where they were coming from?
One person, Kimmy's coming from Toronto. There's another person's coming from Macklin, Saskatchewan.
Okay, so we have Central and East representation. Okay, so I guess that unless anybody wants to say something, pick up your mic and do so. Otherwise, we'll just say good night to everyone and thank you ever so kindly for having come today. So.
Additionally, we had someone join from PEI as well as the Lower Mainland.
Oh my goodness, from PEI, so all the way back east. Thank you, thank you. It's really late there. It's 8:30 there or 9 with the time change. Okay, so I guess we can stop the recording. And any last words? Otherwise, it's a good night to everyone. And again, I don't have the control here for the mouse, or so it would be Yvette or Arshia.
Okay.
Okay.
Want to end the session?